the big one right here.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is Keston. I am joined by my friend Ben Labonog, also an Overstreet advisor, and we have a special guest today. It's Vinzent Zurzolo from ComicConnect. He's going to show us some amazing books that they have coming up in their next auction. Vincent, what you got for us?
Hey, Keston. First of all, guys, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This is always a blast. I love showing off really cool comic books. I got some original art to show you guys, and I got some other really neat stuff. We got an AF-15, we've got a 4.0, we've got a 3.5, and another 3.5. It's a classic X-Men #1, one of the most popular comic book franchises of all time. Originally, Stanley wanted to call it the Mutants, but Goodman, the publisher, said it sounds like bad guys. So he came up with the X-Men and Professor X. And then you'll notice the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants are the bad guys later on. And so that ties into that whole story. We got two 2.5 Batman #1s. Now, why would we have two 2.5s? Well, one's restored and one's unrestored. Anytime you get a chance to have Golden Age Batman #1s in your hands or in a collection or in an auction, it's a very exciting time. The first Joker, the first Catwoman, this iconic cover, super cool back cover that was used as a pinup. Sometimes you get them with no back cover, and that's pretty much why kids were pinning them up on their walls. The 2.5 cream to off-white pages, cover detached, has a really strong front cover. Like, I'd say the front cover looks like a 3.5. The back cover has some staining on it. And I think because the cover is detached, it gave it a 2.5, but a very, very good eye appeal. A lot of people really count the front cover as something that's really important to them. And we've seen many times great front cover books will sell for a premium over what just an overall average looking book would sell for. Well, we've got Detective #1, one of the toughest Golden Age keys. We had one in our last auction, a qualified green label that I think sold for, I want to say 48,000 or 40,000. It was really a fantastic result. And here we have a 3.0 blue label, and I think this one's going to do very well as well.
Ben, tell Vincent about our surprise.
Well, when I saw your little short video on Instagram about holding that book, I remembered a picture that I had saved. And I think this is probably circa 1998. You can tell me, but I said, you know what? I got to put that next to Vinny, and maybe he can reminisce about it.
That's really great. Thanks, Ben. And I remember that photo. I think we're at a Big Apple convention in Manhattan.
For everybody watching, you may want to go back and look behind Vincent again in that younger picture, circa 2001 or 2002, and pick out all those big books. Yeah, go ahead, Vincent.
And for anybody out there who's always dreamed of having a Detective Comics 27, here's your chance. Now, it's not complete, it's coverless, but it also has a centerfold missing. And so staples were removed and moderate amount of tape on interior. But for many people, and in terms of your budget, this could be the holy grail for you. For me, I mean, seeing that first panel with Batman, that's really awesome. Another great book, Action Comics 10, just a knockout copy. The third Superman cover. This book is a 1.8. And what I like about this is for a 1.8, the eye appeal in the book is pretty great. If you didn't know about the spine and you're just looking at this book, it looks like a 5. You know what I mean? It looks like a 5. It's a really gorgeous copy. Let's just get rolling with the big one right here. Action Comics #1. This is the holy grail of holy grails. And our company has handled more Action #1s than probably everybody else in the business combined. And every time I get one of these, it's a thrill. There's so many stories behind each book. This one, what was really cool about it is it's a 9.0. And it's slightly restored. What really makes an impact in my mind is we've seen so many heavily restored high-grade copies, moderately restored, moderately extensive. This one is slight, which is amazing. And it's A1 as well. First of all, the colors are just extraordinary. Fantastic eye appeal. When you take a look at a book, whatever the grade is, if you think it's exceptional for the grade, we'll put a QES label on that. And it's a service we offer on QEScomics.com. And you know something interesting? I shot some promo videos for this. And I was like, what else can I say about Action? It's often overlooked. Not only is it the first Superman, but it's also the first Lois Lane and Zatara. But Lois Lane, and probably one of the most, if not the most important female characters in comic books. and also definitely one of the most important non-superhero characters in comic books. Actually, it's a book that I think is tougher to find than Detective 27, tougher to find than Action Comics #1. Can anybody guess what it is? All-American 16, one of the toughest. I remember when I first started dealing in Golden Age, and the first time I saw one of these, I'm like sitting there going, oh yeah, that's right, there's a Golden Age Green Lantern. And he wore a red shirt, and his weakness was wood. His weakness was wood, which is very strange. It's very strange. Shelley Moldoff was he's known as one of the great Golden Age artists. He oftentimes used this sun silhouette to really make the character pop. And this is a prime example of that. Another book I pulled just because I always love this cover is Mask #1 by L.B. Cole. L.B. Cole is one of my favorite Golden Age cover artists, and this is just such a great book. I also was just mesmerized by the colors on this book, but it says evil at the bottom. So you've got this kind of like demon holding up this light and luring in these fairies. And this next book I have for you, here it is. And we're really happy to have this in our auction. It's a first appearance of Shazam! Captain Marvel, right? Very similar to Superman in many ways, but very different also, I would say. Fawcett Comics was sued by DC, and they basically just kept suing them and eventually bankrupted the company. And then in 1972, got the rights to the Fawcett characters and kept them alive, which I think is really cool. But it's a shame because at one point, Captain Marvel, Shazam, outsold Superman, and that's something that's just so fascinating. These comics were selling in the millions. And now I've got another one that ties in very much to our youth. Before we were even born, Playboy #1 came out. This is a late addition to the auction. I wanted to showcase it and show you guys. It's a beautiful 8.5 copy with white pages. It's got this classic Marilyn Monroe cover, Marilyn Monroe featured in Playboy #1. Gorgeous copy. It's up for auction. It's probably worth about 20 grand, and I was pleased as punch to get this back into one of our auctions. We've got some really cool foreign books. Now, the first book I wanted to show you guys is El Sorprendente Hombre Araña, which is the Amazing Spider-Man. This is the Mexican edition. Now, the reason this book is so important, you'll see there's a fantasy story here with Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy getting married. They never got married, right? Gwen Stacy dies. But what was happening was the Mexican publishers had licensed the stories, and they were putting out 2 a month. So they ran out of stories and made a deal with Marvel that they could create their own comic book stories that would become part of the history for Mexican Spider-Man. Another really neat book in our auction is the Brazilian version of Action 242, First Brainiac, a very, very tough book. Here's another thing. I don't know if everybody knows how old the Smurfs were. I grew up on the Smurfs. I actually used to collect little Smurf figurines. And the Smurfs first appeared in 1958. This is the first full appearance in Peyo's The Smurfs, Spiro 1071. Very, very cool piece of pop culture history. Smurfs were huge in the 80s. And you had Papa Smurf and Brainy Smurf and Complainy, or was it Complainy Smurf? No, it was the guy who was always like complaining about it. Maybe it was Complainy Smurf. And I just remember this stuff from my childhood. I love the Smurfs, and then to understand that it came out so much earlier. One of the coolest pieces for me, out of the foreign selection, I had my guys specially pick this out today. This is Japanese Superman #1, and it's the cover to Superman 53. This is the first Japanese Superman comic. It's a 3.5 white pages, and the interior, it has English and Japanese. It's from 1948, so it's post-war. These are CGC graded pulps, which are really cool. This is the second appearance ever of Conan the Barbarian. Weird Tales 109, and it's from 1933. Off-white to white pages are so cool to imagine. This is the third appearance, and it's got a beautiful Brundage cover. Pulp covers, in many ways, were even more graphic and more. You could here you have a nude woman. You don't see that in comic books very often, hardly ever. And what's also important on the pulps are the spines. Having good color on the spines is really important because a lot of people kept them on a bookshelf, and the sun hit the spines and bleached them out. You've got this one, which is a Conan story by Robert E. Howard, Woman Wrapped Up in a Snake, 7.5. Here's another famous Brundage cover, bondage cover, with a hooded Klansman or something, with a cat of nine tails whipping this poor woman who's in chains, and then another like 7.5, really gorgeous copy. Here's another Brundage cover, issue 150 from 1936, 8.5, with this beautiful cover. Another Conan Red Nail stories, which is one of the most famous Conan stories. So these were this is where they were originally published in pulps, then into paperbacks and in comic books in the 70s. And there you got this beautiful woman and just a knockout from 1936. This is one of my favorite with the skeletons, these skull figures. This is from 1937. This is really cool. This is the first appearance ever of Red Sonja, Magic Carpet number 5. And I got one more. This is the first Buck Rogers Mike Plug collection. All the books are from Mike Plug, the creator of Ghost Rider, Werewolf by Night, the artist on Frankenstein Monster, and so many other great 1970s monster comics from Marvel. This is his personal collection. He signed everything, whether he worked on it or not. He signed it all, and we got it all graded for him. And so there's a lot of really cool things. If you're into signed books, signature series books, you're going to love this stuff. But it's not just comic books. What I thought was really cool is he also had toys that that companies gave him. And this is really neat. It's a Funko Pop Ghost Rider San Diego exclusive from 2013. This is very rare. It sells for about $1,000. You got some very, very cool Werewolf by Night number 2, first appearance of Werewolf by Night. Who I find it really funny the first time I learned this, but his name is Jack Russell. Kind of funny. Got Spidey 129. This is the French Canadian edition, 8.5. Very, very rare. And if you look, you can see it has like a pink cover. It's known as a pinky. This is an Italian edition, Marvel Spotlight number 5. So you have the first Ghost Rider, but you also have Daredevil in it, which is kind of neat. A Swedish edition, which says Verluven, I guess means Werewolf by Night or something. And the monthly material has a lot of great stuff for collectors who are looking for moderately priced comic books, as well as group lots that we have where you want to buy a group of books. You can sometimes get a great price on them, and then you have stuff to read as well. There's Amazing Spider-Man 92 and 9.0. Conan number 1, 8.0. Classic cover, classic book. Here's Weird Science Fantasy 29. It made its way into our monthly auction. It's a 3.5 classic Frazetta cover, but originally this was supposed to be the cover of Famous Funnies 217. Which is the Frazetta run, 209 to 216. 217 was supposed to be another Frazetta cover, and he basically changed the aliens into cavemen. Hey, I want to show you one of the group lots that we have. So you got like a Shazam run here, 31 comics, 1 through 31. First Black Adam's in there, first appearance of Isis, and like the retail value on this is $540. Starts at $1 and goes from there. But if you're looking to get a collection of stuff the way you want to read and enjoy, there's tons of stuff like this in our auctions. Bear with me 2 seconds. I'm just going to grab some of this artwork for you guys. Now, first of all, right here, super cool piece. As a kid, I didn't appreciate Bill Sienkiewicz as much as I do as an adult, because his art was like scratchy and jagged, and I liked like the smoother lines of, let's say, like Gil Kane or John Byrne. Very different. And when you look back at what he did on Moon Knight, as well as especially like New Mutants, Bill Sienkiewicz is one of the pioneers of taking art and making it like a little bit different. Now, here's another great artist, classic, iconic artist for Batman, Jim Aparo. It's Mr. Freeze and Batman. I mean, wow. To be able to own something like that, you got a great image of Batman there. Very cool stuff. But this page is from Silver Surfer Black. I often say that Tradmore's art, if you could imagine if Steve Ditko and Jim Steranko had a love child, this would be what the art would look like. This is John Romita Sr., pencils and inks, illustration from 1985. This is the co-creator of Wolverine. And that's a very iconic, big image of Wolverine. And you just don't see these very often. Marvel Comics presents the Weapon X saga. And here you have a page from the Weapon X saga. And it's just so cool. This is from Wolverine 88. This is the first time Wolverine and Deadpool fight.
Vincent, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks everybody for watching, and we hope to see you around real soon.